me, you have to get me to record. Okay, so it's Friday, October 7th, and we're doing language arts lesson 2.03, finding the main idea, which can be really tricky. And so I want you guys to pay attention to this lesson. It's an important one. After the lesson, if we have a little bit of time, I have kind of a video to play for you, a motivational video, and then a kind of a fun game if we have time. If we don't have time now, we'll do it later. And before I leave, I want Amoy to show something. She's going to teach a class at 2 o'clock on how to make this cool dragon puppet. Can you show us your puppet, Amoy? Can you hold it up so people can see it? Amoy. Can you hold up the puppet so people can see what you're going to show them how to make this afternoon if they come?
Oh, yeah.
So you just need some tape, any kind of tape, and any kind of paper or cardboard. And she's going to teach us how to make these cool dragon hand puppets. So come at 2 o'clock if you want to learn how to do that. All right. Great. Thank you, Amoy. I'm going to take the spotlight off of you. And if you guys have something that you ever want to teach, I invite anybody in this class to send me an email and say, hey, Ms. Laws, I have something I want to teach the group. Because it's great practice teaching. Teaching actually is really hard. And when you have to teach something, you have to learn it very well. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen and go to this lesson. Actually, I'm going to show a couple of things. So today, as we look at the calendar, we're on Friday. We're in this first week of October. Here's today's agenda. So it's lesson 2.03, but you can see you have nothing to submit. Even though there's nothing to submit, usually that's because I want you to spend a lot of time on the lesson. The lesson actually has an assignment in it that you have to get working on so that you'll have it done on Monday, which is when you do have to submit it. Then you have monsters multiplication with something to submit today. So you've got some math. Writing lesson today, some pages that you have to do, and you're going to submit the story later, but you're getting started writing it. And the Heart of Books book club today at 1:30. Make sure you go onto your Google Doc and do what you're supposed to do for that. Remember, your Google Doc should be on this day. I always move it to the next meeting day. And then this afternoon, we have a quiz in language or in social studies 102, Ancient North American Civilizations. And then my book clubs 3A and 4A. And remember at 2 o'clock, we're not just going to do the lesson because we already started it yesterday, but we're going to have that art lesson at 2 o'clock. Okay, so the lesson today is this one. It's Language Arts 5, I don't know why it says 5, oh, 5th grade, Exploration 2.03, Main Ideas, Exploring North America. And it starts out with the introduction to what we're going to be doing. We're going to be finding main ideas. We're going to be working on our narrative, and we're going to be learning how to use dialogue and how to punctuate dialogue, which I would say right now there's maybe 2 kids in class who've mastered this skill. So please pay attention to that writing skill. Word wisdom, cursive writing, we're practicing that. If you didn't hear me say it before, I am going to ask you to give me your books when you're done with them, when you come to pick up your next one, so that I can take a look at your cursive writing and how you're doing with that. So please take your time with the cursive writing assignments. It's kind of a fun thing to do anyway. Reading Corner, New Orleans, we're here. You, Carolyn, and Eduardo have arrived in the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. It's located near the mouth of the Mississippi River. Look how beautiful the city's landscape looks along the river. What a sight. Take another look at this picture. What do you see? If you could tell a friend or family member an idea that represents the picture, what would it be? Once you brainstorm an idea, share it in the chat, please. So if you could look at that picture and say, what's the main idea of this picture? What would you say? Put it in the chat, please, to everyone. A big city. Okay, whatever you think of. Lake is just one word. A main idea has to be like a sentence, okay? And there is no right answer on this. I just want you to come up with like, what would be the main idea of this picture? Did I have that chat right in front of it? Sorry if that chat was in the way. City with a lake in the middle. Okay, you see there's no answer for this one. They just want you starting to think about what is the main idea. Eureka, the main idea. Good readers are always analyzing the text for the main idea and supporting details. This is the main focus of a text, not the topic. It includes the topic, but also what the text says about the topic. You can remember this by following this equation. Main topic is what the text says about the topic and the main idea. I think another really important thing to remember is it's what the whole paragraph is about. So they might have one sentence at the front and then never mention it again. So you have to ask yourself, what is the whole thing is about? Like, is the third sentence still about that? Is the fourth sentence still about that? There are some easy ways to discover the main idea of the text. Watch the Finding the Main Idea Using Key Details video to learn some tips and tricks. I'm going to this one. Wow, take a look at the double rainbow in my garden. I recently found an article about rainbows, so I pulled it out to learn more. I'm looking for the main idea in the article. To find the main idea, I first need to look for the main topic. And often that's in the first sentence. Then I need to use the key details to figure out what the text says about the topic. First, I'll look at the topic of the article. Title of this article is Rainbows. When I scan the article, I see the word rainbow in each of the topic sentences. I can also see pictures of rainbows. The topic is rainbows. Next, I need to find what the text says about the topic. The main topic plus what the text says is the main idea. I can look for key details to help me find it. In the first body paragraph, so we're going to learn how to write an essay, and in an essay we number what we call the body paragraphs. So you have the introduction, then you have the body paragraphs. The topic sentence says that rainbows are created through a specific process. The next sentence says that many people misunderstand how rainbows form. Many people know that rainbows are created when sun and rain are combined, but they don't understand how the light from the sun passes through the raindrops. In the second body paragraph, the topic sentence says that there are many types of rainbows. The key details I can pick out tell me that most people don't know there are many types of rainbows. A rainbow shape changes depending on how the light passes through the rainbow drops and kind of where you're standing. It might be surprising for people to find out that the type of light and the water that light passes through create a specific type of rainbow. Using the key details, I found the main idea. The main idea is that many people do not understand how rainbows work. Phrases like most people don't understand or people might be surprised to learn are repeated. The key details support this main idea. So if you just said the main idea was rainbows, one word, you would be wrong. In the introduction, it says that rainbows are common, but the science behind them is misunderstood. In the conclusion, it says many people might be surprised to find out about the variety of rainbows. I think it looks like I'm right. Well, this article helped me learn more about rainbows. They sure are pretty to look at, but they're more complicated than I thought. Here is a worksheet that is probably in your printed notebook. I didn't look in there. Tips and tricks for finding the main idea. Look at text features, look at the key details and examples, and the topic, which is the first or the closing sentence. Often the main idea is in the first or the last sentence, not always though. What is the whole text mostly about? What are the important parts? So when you read something, you're going to need to know how to find that main idea. Here is a story. Let's put what we learned about finding the main idea to work in the reading zone. Read this excerpt or part of the book, Life in a Fort. So here it is. Does it have additional pages? I'm not seeing them right now, but let me expand my page. Yeah. So I don't see that this has additional pages. It's just this little excerpt here about Fort Morgan. And we need to find the main idea. So I'm going to read it right now. And I want you to write down what you think is the main idea in the chat. Okay. Fort Morgan is a bastion fort characterized by a pentagon formation. That is the first sentence. That's the topic sentence. It might be the main idea that Fort Morgan is this kind of a fort, but I'm going to keep reading. First, I'm going to look at the picture. It says it's a pentagon. And look, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. Pentagon means 5. Did you know that our government building in Washington, D.C. is called the Pentagon because it's shaped just like this building? It has 5 sides. This shape has 2 benefits. First, it provides 5 regions to place cannons for defense. Second, is that about the shape of the fort? Yeah. Second, approaching enemies are visible and easily challenged. So that's not really about the shape being the shape. It's about the shape being a good shape for a fort. Also, the stone bastions kept the defending soldiers away from the wall's edge. Also about the shape being helpful. In addition to the unique shape, oh, there's that shape again, ditches were dug around the fort. These ditches required extensive men and hours to create. The dirt was removed, then used to reinforce the walls and pre-existing structures. Is that still about the shape? We're getting the idea that this main idea is going to be something about that fort's shape. The style of Fort Morgan was purposely planned to reduce casualties. That's injuries and deaths in a war. Earlier forts were usually built on hilltops and included high walls. The higher the walls, the more secure the people inside felt. In order to overtake the fort, the enemy needed to scale or climb the walls or shatter the gate. This was difficult when defending arrows rained down from archers high above. When the cannonball became a weapon of destruction, Fort Morgan needed to change. So we can look at the first sentence. Fort Morgan is a bastion fort. The fact that it's just a fort, is that what everything's about? Not really, right? The last thing, when cannonballs became a weapon, Fort Morgan needed to change. Did we learn much about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's find the main idea.
No, we didn't.
Okay. So let's see if anybody put anything in the chat bravely yet. Nope. I want everybody to put something in the chat, what you think the main idea is. What do you think it is? Like Fort Morgan had a special shape to help win wars and keep people safe. So if I were guessing it, I would say everything. I don't see anybody making guesses yet. You guys are scared to guess, aren't you? Let me show you. So I would say it has something to do with the shape and something about this shape being really helpful. As new things were invented, they needed to adapt the technology, but you need to have more in there, Lauren, something about a fort, right? Something about Fort Morgan, because this is specifically about Fort Morgan. Okay, so what's the main topic? Fort Morgan, there it is. What does the text say about it? It says it's a bastion fort. It has 5 regions. Enemies are easily seen. Ditches are dug. It was built to reduce casualties. So what's the main idea? The main idea of this is that Fort Morgan kept soldiers safe. So I said, what did I say? Fort Morgan had a special shape to help win wars and keep people safe. I kind of got it, didn't I? I did okay. There can be more than one main idea in a text. Even though a text is about one main topic, it can give different information. But you have to kind of ask yourself, like, what were they saying about Fort Morgan? They were saying it was designed in a special way to keep people safe, right? Let's go on. Using details to discover the idea. By using tips and tricks, finding the main idea and supporting details is a breeze. Let's explore another excerpt from the book, Life in a Fort. Again, this is a short one, so let's do this together. Here's the fort, here's the walls, and then it had land on top. Ongoing, so it says purpose served. So purpose is like the meaning, right? So you're going to be thinking about the meaning. You're going to be looking at this. Ongoing changes in weapons meant that fort walls, again, were not strong enough. So that was when they said cannonballs came into play, then their fort walls weren't very good. Remember Fort Vancouver had those like wooden walls? Would those withstand a cannonball or would they fall right down? As well, due to their design, bastion forts proved useless against aircraft. So once they got aircrafts, remember how you could see inside that fort? Yeah. It wasn't very helpful. Eventually, Fort Morgan became obsolete. You might not know what that word means, but you could say, well, they're saying that it didn't work very well. So I think obsolete might mean not very useful.
Useless.
Useless. Into the 20th century, daily weather and occasional hurricanes played havoc. Up until 1942, a few military training programs happened at Fort Morgan. Eventually, in 1960, Fort Morgan was declared a National Historic Landmark. We have like the purpose or the use of Fort Morgan. We have changes. We have changes in weapons and how that made it obsolete. And eventually it just became a national landmark. So please, please go, Eli, not in the chat. Right now, what I want you to put in the chat is the main idea. So everybody please go to the chat and say the main idea of this section about Fort Morgan. So what is this chapter saying about Fort Morgan? Guys, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. I want you to try it. You need to try and write a main idea. Okay? Try and write a main idea. What about Fort Morgan? Is this chapter saying? What's the main idea? Type it in there, or you can unmute and say it. Is anyone willing to say it? What do you think?
Okay. I was typing. But it was basically out of date, and it needed to change and adapt to what was happening.
Perfect. So you need to say Fort Morgan, though. Over time, Fort Morgan had to change, and it was out of date. Okay, that's a great one. Yeah. Eli, no. Not helpful. Eli, unmute and tell us your main idea. What do you think the main idea is? You need to unmute, buddy. Eli, unmute. Since you're being silly in the chat, I need you to tell us the main idea.
I'm trying to make the cool N I made before it.
But right now you need to tell us. Eli, tell us the main idea of this that chapter. Lauren just tried and said it to say it. Let's hear you say it again. What was the main idea of this? Did you listen to what Lauren said? No?
I thought he would put in the chat or like said
no,
it.
No, just say it right now. He just said it.
Oh, there. Over.
But you're just reading what I wrote, honey. You needed to think for yourself. Okay, so instead of making fancy ends, you need to be listening.
Okay.
So something about Fort Morgan changing and becoming less useful for war and more useful as like a monument. Okay. All right, you guys. I'm going to stop. Here's their answer. Let's see what they said. Well, they have another graphic organizer here, which is going to be useful because you're going to have to use this one for the assignment. So this is the main idea and supporting details graphic organizer number 1. And you can see that this one has both of the 2 main ideas that we came up with the supporting details. This is exactly what your assignment is going to be for this lesson. Only you're not going to use this one. You're going to use the blank one that they have for you in a few pages. But you need to study that one so you can see how to do it. It's what we just went through. So it says try it. And if you look here on number 4, it says on page 6, number 4, it says save this completed graphic organizer because you will turn it in at the end of the lesson. So on Monday, this is what you're going to have to turn in filled in. Okay. So you're going to have to edit this one or do it on paper and then send it to me on Monday. I'm going to stop my share. Any questions about that assignment? Okay. I don't see any questions. Here's what I'd like everybody to do right now before you sign off. I want you to go on to this lesson and I want you to get to that page. So let me show you where I want you to be before you leave our lesson today. I want you to go on to lesson 2.03. And I want you to go to this page because look at this. This is the story that you need to read. It says, print this graphic organizer, and then you are going to read and take notes on the main ideas in this big, long story. So you can see on the graphic organizer that it told you you needed at least 2 main ideas, 3 main ideas from the paragraphs in this story. It's a long story. And you need to read the whole thing. So before you leave, please find this page, page 6. And I'm going to ask to take a look at that graphic organizer on Monday to make sure you've done it. Okay. So right now, if you're opening it up, you should just leave it on your screen so you can start working on it. And you're going to read this and you're going to fill that graphic organizer out. It's kind of a hard assignment. So you're going to have to work hard on this one. They want you to start taking notes. So you can see it's got 3 parts. Why be an explorer? Who were the explorers and what did they accomplish? You're going to take notes on each of those 3 chapters and say what was the main idea. Here's the introduction. Why be an explorer? That'll be your first area. Who were the explorers? That's your second one you're going to tell the main idea of. It's long too. Look at that. All of these guys are the explorers. You're not going to tell me every single thing. You're going to have to come up with the main idea about the explorers. What did they accomplish? Main idea and some supporting details. Okay. If you need help with this assignment, I'm happy to help you right now. Or you can work on your own and we can check later. I see Nora has a question. Yep. Go ahead, Nora.
Do you mean like in the graphic organizer, you want us to like say the purpose of all the like heroes or something?
So for example, if you want to work with me, we could do that right now looking at it. If you go to that page 6, it says you have to open up this document, right? And the main topic is going to be what? Right now, what could you fill in as a main topic for that article? What was it all about? You know, what, sorry, say it again.
Heroes, maybe? I don't know.
I don't think it was heroes. I think it was explorers, right?
Oh yeah.
Let's go to the beginning of the story. Oh, shoot. I do not want to be there. Okay, let me go to, where's the story? Here it is. I just want to go to the first page of it. Okay, so a good place to find, so this is exploring North American explorers. So if it were me on that very first spot, I would write North American explorers, main topic, right? Then it says the first paragraph, like main ideas. I'm going to go back and I'm going to read the start and the introduction. Let's see, let's get to the introduction. Introduction, centuries ago, the exploration and colonization of new lands were a way for countries to extend their political powers. That might be the main idea right there, but let me check. The ocean journey was really long. It led to discovery. The journey began in 1020. 3 reasons to make the voyage were religion, wealth, and competition. Oh, now it's why be an explorer. So what would you say was the main idea of this one? I would say, if it were me filling it out, I would say the ocean journey, that exploration extended political power, that the ocean journey was really long, and they did it for religion, wealth, and competition, right? So if it were me filling it out, I would write that down here, that exploring led to extending power, that the ocean journey was really long, and that they journeyed for wealth and religion and power. And then I would say the main idea is exploration led to extending power. I kind of think that was the main idea of that first paragraph. So does that make sense, Nora?
Yeah.
So it's going to take a while. You're going to have to sit here and go back and forth between these 2 documents, which is why I wanted you to have both of them open. And then I'm going to go to the next part of the story, and I'm going to be reading Why Be an Explorer. And I'm going to try to come up with 3 details about that. But I kind of think the big idea of this is being an explorer. You would be an explorer for these reasons, maybe 3 reasons, right? So here we have one common reason was enjoyment of adventure. Others were scientists who wanted to make maps. A few travelers sought riches, golden spices. Missionaries went because they wanted to spread their religious ideas, right? So there are numerous reasons, and this might be the main idea right down here. There were many reasons to explore new lands.
Okay.
Okay, it's a little bit tricky, but it takes reading and kind of pulling out those main ideas. You guys better go though, because I think it's almost time for specials. If anybody has any questions still, you can stay with me. Open up that lesson 2.03, and make sure you've opened page 6 and got your graphic organizer out. Okay. And if you're stuck on it, it is a hard assignment. You can come back at 11 o'clock and I will do it with you. Okay. But I'll see you at 10 for math. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.